along for the second workshop. We're running about 15 minutes over time, that is, so we have allocated 30 minutes for presentation. We've got another 15 minutes for Councillor Partai at the end. Thank you to the councillors who sent through and read the slides early. And just a quick note that because this workshop is in public, we will not be answering any questions or introducing confidential information in relation to the Reading Cinemas development, but that's put throughout the slides in response to feedback from public and partners. So that's why that one's in there. And I would, welcome Anna, Clara and Prague. Over to you.
Kia ora, elected members. I'm delighted to be talking with you today. I think the previous session was presented by the Boffins, and we've got the brochure, so a slightly different tone here today. I obviously head up the economic wellbeing team, and this piece of work is falling under our remit. Prague is our Central City manager and who has been leading a lot of our engagement with stakeholders in this area, and Clara is our Pōneke Promise project manager and working on the evolution of that program from just a purely safety focused initiative to something that is more broadly about safety and vibrancy in the area. And I think there is, firstly, just in terms of why this precinct approach and why we're sitting here as opposed to our urban design team. And that is because businesses want action in this area. They are desperate for some revitalisation. They don't want to wait 5-10 years until we change some planning laws. They want action now. And within our economic wellbeing strategy, obviously you yourself have identified it as a priority within the long-term plan. Our Pōneke Promise partners know that the solution for addressing safety in this issue is by taking a more holistic approach to revitalisation. And as I said, very, 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 very strong feedback from Central City businesses, very keen to see some revitalisation. So what this is not is a planning document. This won't show a pathway how to enable growth and transport solutions, etc. It is a plan that has been co-designed with businesses, with our Pōneke Promise stakeholders, and with residents, aligned around a common vision with some actions to take both in the short term to build that confidence and to see some visible change now, as well as some medium and longer term initiatives that are more reliant on funding and urban population growth. And why Courtney Place, you might ask? Well, I don't think any of you would ask why we're starting with our first first precinct planned around Courtney Place. It is tired and it needs a refresh. I drive the bus down here every day. I stop off and do my morning audit, picking up rubbish along the way, and it is in need of a refresh. And it's not just about the urban realm that it needs a refresh. It's not just about, as Councillor Young just said, those awful tiles. It is about the businesses themselves. It's about storefronts. It's about what's happening, on those first floor, those ground floor businesses and surrounding streets. So we're wanting to see more investment into the area. This was once a premier destination for Wellington. This is where it all happened. Embassy, St James were all built around the same time, quickly followed by the Opera House. It has hosted red carpet premieres and has been somewhere that people are proud of. But now no longer. In fact, we've stopped seeing people saying, I'm going to Courtney Place. You say you're going out for dinner on Cuba Street. You do not say you're going out for dinner you might say you're going out to Dragons or Dragonfly, or you might say you're going to the St James, but you do not say you're going to Courtney Place. That is not good for businesses who are reliant on trading off a positive public image in order to make their businesses successful. So Courtney Place made perfect sense for our first precinct plan. It is just our first one, and then we will be going on to other areas. Cuba Street, the Manors area will quickly follow. But my next slide is not following. Here we go. So what is the issues? Well, first, it does have that image issue as I've just talked about, right? And if you look at our resident monitoring survey, if you look at our Pōneke Promise data, those are declining perceptions of it being lively and attractive. It is not somewhere where Wellingtonians are immensely proud of. The other big issue is safety, and this is not just a perception issue. You know, we know that often it's perception is an issue, but actually it's where the majority of alcohol-related harm happens in the area. We've got a very high concentration of bars and restaurants in the area. That can be a good thing, but at the moment what is happening is a high concentration of alcohol-related harm. And it has an investment issue. You've got a lot, as I said, not just from us as council in terms of the public realm, but from property owners and businesses themselves. Good news is we're not starting off ground zero. There has been significant investment of more than $200 million made primarily out of the St James Theatre, rejuvenation and strengthening, including the painting of that beautiful auditorium, and Tākina, which contributes about 44 million in GDP each year and pumps kind of, you know, a couple of 100,000 visitors into the area. The Pōneke Promise Partnership has seen 27 initiatives of various scale, some more significant, including the removal of toilets in Te Aroha Park and lighting and improvements, more regular CCTV monitoring, etc. And with growth is naturally going to become more improvements as well. Some are locked in terms of, and some, as we know, and just in terms of why we need some of those short terms are funding dependent. What we're talking about is more than it is a neighbourhood. This is not just an entertainment precinct. We have close to 12,000, as the last census said, is 12,000 people who live in the area, $500,000 in spend in the broader Courtenay and Cuba precinct. We've got significant growth, a lot of that obviously from the change in the district plan that you're just talking about. We'll see densification in the area. We've got absolutely concentration of restaurants and bars, 5 theatres. I mean, I don't know where else in the country would have that concentration of 5 theatres. That's incredible. And we're seeing a lower, you know, when we started working in this area, looking at this area 18 months ago, we had quite a lot of vacancy, ground floor vacancy, and what we're seeing is more and more of those being occupied and getting ready for new business activity. So not all bad, in fact some really positive things to look at. Handing over to Prak now to talk about the process.
Thank you, Anna. Kia ora koutou, my name is Prak. So I was in charge of canvassing the precinct for key stakeholders. I'll just adjust this mic. And establishing engagement sessions for them to attend in amidst their busy schedule as operators. So just for clarity, I'll just sort of explain what I was sort of working with. Our wider Courtney Place precinct for the active engagement included a soft boundary from Taranaki Street to Cambridge Terrace, centred on Courtney Place. We engaged with 40 business owners, a broad range of business disciplines. We ran sessions with these stakeholders to understand what their priorities are for the area, to understand why they had made the decision to establish themselves in Courtney Place and collectively build that vision. We'd also been informed by extensive engagement by users of the area, conducted by Pōneke Promise. We have some surveys up there, the children and young people, Mana Whenua Aspirations, Rainbow Community, Young Women, Accessibility Advisors. And, you know, so coming back to, I guess, the businesses in this district, what was pretty clear when I began this work is that Courtney Place is much more than just bars and hospitality owners. You know, the from hospital to retail, property management, various creative practices, there are key stakeholder groups that not only add vibrancy to the area, but contribute significantly to the GDP. And just for example, I'll outline sort of 2 that we sort of identified pretty quickly. There is a group of tech and creative businesses that have been drawn to this area. Some of the appeal just being the heritage buildings, relatively lower rents per square metre, the fact that it's kind of seen as the antithesis of Lambton Quay. Companies such as Optimal Workshop, Moxie, Pamu, who all attended these sessions, boutique to medium-sized companies. And on the edge of this precinct, you've got large-scale, well-known companies such as Xero and TradeMe. So they all sort of contributed to this area being known as a culture and tech creative hub. Another key stakeholder group we sort of identified through our engagement was a lot of Asian restaurants in this area. A little known fact is that the first Chinese restaurant in Wellington, the Shanghai restaurant, began in Courtney Place. the Turners and Growers Asian Grocer Market. They were on Alan Blair. There's heritage in this precinct on many different levels. And this is still reflected today. We have on the eastern side of Courtney Place a concentration of those Asian food operators, not really seen anywhere else in the city. Even the sheer fact that we brought these stakeholders in the same room as one another presented opportunities. There were hospital operators that were clearly unaware that there was this significant concentration of offices in the area, and you could see those opportunities sort of connecting themselves. How do they try and tap into this market that is sitting on their doorstep? Now jumping into some of our key findings. So this is a precinct that is much more diverse than entertainment. And all the stakeholders want rejuvenation in some form. There are also businesses that have been in the area for a long time, decades even, independent owner-operated businesses that have seen this area change rapidly over time. Businesses, even the bar owners, want to see Courtney Place as family friendly. And in fact, the area does draw family crowds, during Saturday morning, during Yumcha. The area is seen as playful, and we want it to remain that way, just safely. Creative and colourful, reflecting back that the area is seen as our theatre district. Businesses want more green spaces, emblematic, I guess, of the needs of the wider central city. A buoyant night and day economy. The night economy is well understood in this precinct, but what about the day? One of the most regular pieces of feedback from businesses is around cleanliness. Let this be an entertainment area that is something for everyone. This has long been an area of gathering where people come for social connection, from its beginnings as Te Aropa to its emergence as our entertainment district. This was reinforced as an aspect of this precinct going forward. So rounding off, this is a multifaceted destination that suffers from a significant identity issue, with elements of culture, entertainment, and creativity that are all inherent in the business makeup, with strong connections to the city and nature, and long-standing independent businesses. They all weave together to create this rich and vibrant tapestry that is present on the street.
So, our vision. Our vision, Courtney Place, our premier place to play. While we heard the same themes come up in these engagements and consistently throughout our Punaki Promise engagement previously around people wanting it to be safe and vibrant and welcoming, it was really key to us that we had a really specific vision that was true to what people know of Courtney Place, but also had that expansiveness and reflected other desires, that creativity, the family friendliness, a place to have high quality experiences, premier experiences. So our premier place to place is something that speaks to this, whether you're going to have Yumcha with your family, working in a creative business in the area, or going to the theatre. It's a place to have fun. So in addition to the vision based off the conversations we had with stakeholders, we identified these 5 strategic PO to help guide our action across the precinct plan. And we're not putting them kind of in the initiatives within each box, because ultimately we want to tick multiple boxes across our vision and our actions here, that we want to see things that meet multiple of these criteria to really build strong initiatives. And these are common themes that were regardless of which stakeholders we were speaking with. So alcohol management obviously is a high priority for Courtney Place, from licensing processes to consumption and sale. And we really have strong partnerships in this space. We've already talked to police extensively about this plan and have their commitment to work collaboratively to reduce the impact of alcohol harm on our city here. Improved public space, as Park said, cleanliness comes up a lot. There's a consistent desire for the upgrade of public space in this area and strong maintenance, whether that be by council through our core services or whether enabling community to do so. Diverse offering that offers experiences for all ages and provides business opportunities day and night. Capable guardianship. Businesses recognise the role of community guardians as essential in this area, especially in the nighttime economy, and our partners are key in providing this support. And then promotion and reputation building. There's much to celebrate in this area, as we've come to be the biggest fans of Courtney Place in the city, but pride is low. It's key that we celebrate and enhance what makes Courtney Place special, lift it up and tell the right story in a way that's reflective of the area, and its history in a bold and empowering way. This is key from the Hospitality NZ, who recognise the role of positive storytelling in uplifting that reputation in the city. Courtney Place is the first part of Wellington when you're coming from the airport, the southern eastern suburbs, that you really know you're in the central city. So how can we celebrate that and make that a real momentum? So what might a reimagined Courtney Place look like? We looked across business cases across this world, other cities in New Zealand that were doing cool things, other places in the world that we're always comparing ourselves to, and then looked across the different engagements we had and pulled out those really great ideas, and have been having conversations within council and our partnerships on how we collaborate in these. So in the short term, cleaner and greener. Cleanliness, the lack of greenery are of the highest concern to businesses. And so in addition to core services, we want to look at how we can work with communities to enable them to care for their places through ongoing initiatives such as Courtney Place cleanups, which we've already run successfully, and business maintained plant boxes, which is an idea brought to us by a business that has been seen successfully in Chicago. World-class entertainment districts, they're known for their lighting, if you think about different strips across the world. And businesses told us that in order for it to feel like a creative heart of our city, they wanted to see that through creative lighting, such as festoon lighting across Blair and Allen, which would brighten up the street for both safety issues, but also bring that sense of excitement for families. And business-led uplighting of heritage buildings. We see the Cambridge Hotel has really beautifully done this, so how can we work with businesses to do that?
Another initiative we were looking at is creating diverse experiences. So, businesses want more of a range of experiences in Courtney Place to make it feel world class. We have a number of initiatives identified there, but one we currently have in motion is working with the businesses in the area for a food festival as a way to test this area as a Courtney East dining precinct, aimed at sort of highlighting the Asian food experience. We've harped on this quite a few times, but this image issue of Courtney Place, businesses really want to see Courtney Place actively promoted. It suffers terribly from this perception problem, which differs greatly from the perspective of business owners. They're committed to the area. So let's celebrate this with active business promotion, increased presence on Wellington NZ, and I guess a true celebration of the area's heritage.
Strong network of support. Our Punaki Promise partners help provide this, but there's more that can be done. At Second Take 10 site, more located up the hot spot end of Courtney Place, and roving nighttime safety ambassadors are two of the most popular suggestions of things that we can do to strengthen the management of Courtney Place after dark. Police, bars, CCTV, community support are all in favour of this, and we're exploring how we can do this in partnership. Courtney Place is also part of the wider Te Aro Pā area, and there's much opportunity to work with iwi to restore this relationship between people and place, both through expression in public works such as Golden Mile and co-design work on Te Aro Park, but also about how do we work with iwi to identify opportunities to invest in the area to bring the uri and the wairoa back to the area.
And rounding off with some of our short, medium and long-term initiatives, so enhanced entertainment venues. So building on our vision of a premier place to play, we want to capitalise on the opportunity provided by the entertainment venues in this precinct. As Anna mentioned, 5 alone in this area is incredible. But with that, the reactivated reading complex, leveraging St James for larger productions, exploring opportunities for that mid-sized venue. And finally, a denser neighbourhood. So with an updated district plan, there will be more opportunity to build. And we want to work with the developers and iwi to ensure targeted investment reflects what the businesses and residents want to see for this area.
So how will we do that? Key question. So firstly, we will leverage our city growth funding, around $300,000 a year over 3 years, with the opportunity for more for initiatives that are going to create jobs and drive additional activity in the area. Reprioritise funding across the council to make sure that we are investing it and concentrating it in this area, and then using that to leverage external funding. And we've already done that on a greater scale, to be honest, with Tākina and St James. So Phil Becker's team and I are in quite regular conversations with multiple developers on opportunities in the area. So we know that there is interest. There is no shortage of interest. It is just working out the right opportunity for the right site. And what that is about really supporting them and creating a service where we're helping them with investment prospectuses. As you will know, that every developer needs its own form of funding. Often a lot of that comes from offshore. So making sure that we are providing the right information to get those business decisions made. It's not just, I guess, what you might consider a property developer. Iwi themselves are keen to invest in this area and want to be involved in those conversations. We're also big, as a team that engages on a daily basis with businesses, we're very keen on agile delivery. You know, you can't build confidence with the business community if you're still talking about something and you haven't done anything in a year's time. So we will only be able to continue these great partnerships and these discussions that we have started if we are delivering on a regular basis. So very committed. That's why we've done things, to be honest, like the cleanup, because they've said to us they want it cleaner right now. So we've gone out there and worked out a way to do that, as well as looking at opportunities like a roving cleaner in that site. So it will only be successful with an agile project team, which means from a governance perspective, we will be using our Pōneke Promise, our existing governance relationship. We've got project teams, we've got steering groups, we've got our external partners for that and regular business engagement. We'll be coming back to this to the Social, Economic and Cultural Committee on a quarterly basis against our economic wellbeing strategy to report on this, but it is very important that we deliver what we say we are going to deliver, so businesses see change soon, what we all want to see, and happy to take any questions.
Oh, thank you all. First partai is Councillor Young.
So I just worked out you've got 3 councillors who live close by. Me 750 kilometres, Iona 350, and Poiwi 250. Did I say kilometres or metres? Metres. You know, I'm sort of AC/DC about metrics and imperials. So there are a couple of issues, I think. One is there are some buildings that are key to the area that I think we have no control over. One are the sort of brothels and strip clubs, mermaids, and what's one of the pair of sort of knickers hanging up? What are the,
Mermaids and Dreamgirls.
Yeah. I haven't been to either. Not planning to. Anyway, that's one issue because of the kind of clientele they attract. The second one is that hideous big video game parlour, and I'm assuming we can't do anything about planning controls over that.
You mean time zone?
Yeah.
At the moment, very important for families, drawing families to the area, someone that is dragged along by their children on a regular basis. Yeah.
I just look at young teenagers there on their own, and I think they should be at school. Anyway, you know.
Probably better in...
So the other one is the Embassy Theatre. So, you know, we've got the heritage facade reinstated. If you want to go and see a plaque with my name, it's just inside the door. But the Blondini's upstairs is a fantastic space. That is the most badly run cinema in town. I went there to see Napoleon. Don't go and see it, it's boring. They had no ice creams. They had one ice cream left.
Councillor Young,
and
probably...
and the thing is, and the whole cafe is empty. So that would be a major bookend for Courtney Place. Can we any controls over the management or lack of management of that theatre?
I think it's quite a good question in general. We do have those things. So we are the landlord for the Embassy Theatre. EVT is the manager, so also manage the QT and Ridges Hotel as well as the theatres. So Sometimes, yes, we do have ability as a landlord. In other sites, so a lot of the property is owned by 2 or 3 or 4 landlords in that area who aren't as active in investing as their businesses as in those properties as their tenants would like. So yeah, probably some buildings we've got better leverage to influence than others.
You know, a major and respectable company, surely you can, because they do a good job on the QT, for example.
They do a good job, and I think I've actually got a meeting with them next week with our property team because they are looking at doing some activity into that building. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And councillors, I'm just going to limit them to 3 brief partai if possible, and then I can chuck you back on the list. I've got Councillor McNulty.
Cool. I guess first one in the brochure, strategic alcohol management. Like, I get it, all the academic reasons, but we've heard from business owners that are taking a year to get a liquor licence, and it seems like we're quite conflicted here around the economic benefits of that versus we're making it really hard for that district to operate. So I'm wondering if you have any commentary about, is there a change of direction in there? Have we realised that we might be a little bit zealous?
It is the most challenging area, I think, regulatory area with the businesses that we deal with, and the main reason for that is we're involved, the police are involved, and health are involved, and the data is the data in terms of high alcohol harm, and certainly how those 3 parties make their decisions on whether or not they're giving a licence. They look at that amount of harm, so both police and health data, and then they look at the type of business it is. So if, for example, a business just wants to open up another what they might call standard Courtney Place bar, as opposed to one that is, for example, got a higher concentration on food, then that's where the difficulty is, because the data says in terms of the harm that at the moment we're almost at peak licences for that area. As a team, our personal view is a filled business is positive because it's an activated space and it's better to have people in well-managed licensed premises. But in terms of the regulatory environment, the data has a strong influence on those businesses getting a licence or not. Clara, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just add that consistency and quality of decision making is something that we've been discussing in both our licensing team and police teams, and there's a real commitment to ensuring that is part of the discussion, but also around that other, how do we manage the street at night is a big part of. So at the moment we might be at nearing capacity of what police and health feel are viable in that area, but if we can actually address some of the issues around the street management, which is where you have a lot of those people crowding and you have a lot of the harm happening in that lack of management of the street, then it kind of frees up some of the concerns around how many places we have in the area, etc. Because as Anna says, some of the issues are not happening in the bars. Those are well managed, but the nighttime and the surrounding amenity is of big concern to those areas. But also if we can bring up the daytime trade, bring in different businesses, then you start to see a different tapestry, and you have more commercial benefits to opening earlier in the day and earlier in the evening without so much reliance on that late night last 2 hours of sale, which is at the moment where businesses are very concerned that they'll lose that trade. But everyone wants to see that come earlier in the day.
I'll drop my third question since that was quite extensive. I guess I'll just challenge, when Graham Salt presented at that bid conference, he challenged my orthodoxy a bit, and he said this really should be business-led, and he almost kind of thought like it's the job of council to either get out the way or just jump behind it. Now, I take there's no bid in the central city, and that's probably an issue here, but do you think we are taking the right approach by leading this? Is there things that we should be allowing businesses to be more organically doing and just providing the funding or infrastructure?
I think there's always a facilitator needed. So we would hope that we would work in a way that gets as much business-led activity by themselves. What I would say, and even bids will tell you this, is they struggle for the time and resource to put into that public's, and putting into enhancing their suburb or their surrounding area, because the stresses at the moment of running a hospitality and a retail business is so significant that they just don't have the extra capacity in order to concentrate it. So certainly at the moment, Central City businesses would favour council helping to facilitate this program of work.
Thank you.
Councillor Chung.
Great, thank you. I'll stick to 3 questions. I only have 7 questions here. More green areas you're talking about. So where do you plan to actually put more green areas?
So obviously there's the green network plan in terms of the tree pipeline through the city, but what businesses themselves told us to, and I don't know if any of you know Mike Egan, but he's a really passionate local civic business person. So every time he goes overseas, he sends us pictures of how we could do it. And so he says that actually what's been very successful in places that he's seen is businesses greening up their areas. Mm-hmm. So that's what we've talked about, for example, planter boxes and things outside of there. Yep. Yeah, so that's what we see as an immediate while we wait for the trees to grow.
Yep, no, that's great. Second question, what do you think about having a permanent police presence in there, like putting a police box on Te Aro Park or something like that? Because if we're talking about people experiencing harm in those areas, then wouldn't a police presence be conducive to reducing that?
I'll let Clara answer this, because you would have seen the introduction of safety hubs in Rotorua and Auckland in response to ram raids in particular. So police already have a really super active presence on Courtney Place during Friday and Saturday nights. So they have got a large deployment into that area, and that is when the harm. So when that data says that extra attention is needed, police are already, I would say, fantastic in making sure that they align their resources to that area. I'm not sure if, Clara, you've got any?
Yeah, just that targeted approach. So that's police would prefer, and that's one of the benefits of the precinct-based approach, is that we can look at the different issues specifically for the different areas and the opportunities. So in Courtney Place, you have a late night harm. You have that Friday, Saturday night. Police have said that of, the 40 shifts they do in a week, there's 2 that are of concern to them, and that's that late night. So they have a strong presence there. During other parts of the day, they're in other parts of the city, and so having that agile approach. But we are very connected with them, and our city safety team meet with them regularly and share that insight that we hear from public, as well as they share back with us where those targeted issues are.
No, that's great, thanks. And the last question, you're talking about we have a $300,000 budget in there. Is that the unspent budget that's left, or what are we actually doing with that? And
so part of what makes up this 2.5 million is ring fencing some funding within our city growth economic grant budget and using it to do some of those short-term immediate initiatives. So that's 300 that we've signed off, that our panel has signed off for this year, and then with the idea that also for year 2 and 3 that we'll do the same, and then reallocating funding from existing council budgets in order to make up the 2.5 across 3 years.
Great, thank you. All right.
Councillor Calvert.
Yeah, look, I'm having a bit of difficulty in understanding. There seems to be a half strategic approach, a half operational approach, and I'm trying to figure out, because I think even the strategic pillars are not quite there, not quite strategic enough. Some of them are very operational. But when you talk about funding, I mean, at the moment, the commercial properties in the downtown levy area, which this is part of it, pay about $17.3 million a year to council as part of that levy. What proportion of those commercial ratepayers are in this area that pay, and how much would they pay approximately in terms of the downtown levy? Do you know? Or
no, I don't know.
It would be quite good. I'd be quite interested, because I know we've got 3,000 commercial property owners for that whole downtown levy area. So it'd be quite good to see what portion this has.
We could flip
Of
that one
that.
on to Andrea to answer in terms of the rates. differential.
Well, I suppose it's about dealing with the size that you've got. But what is the engagement with the actual businesses? Because I did test this with a few, and they didn't feel that they had been engaged with effectively enough for you to sort of present this as a plan.
Yeah, it would be good to know who those businesses are.
Yeah, I know this is.
But maybe
Yeah, I'll talk to you because I won't do this
That
in
would
the
be
public
great.
briefing.
Yeah, that would be fantastic because what we did is we, Prague, walked the boards and got in contact with a lot of the businesses in that area, invited them along to some workshop sessions. So maybe they didn't.
Yeah, but I just want.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the proportion because the feedback I've got from some of the larger ones that perhaps it wasn't. It's similar to the Let's Get Welly Moving thing. So I just.
Oh, that's disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
So
I will talk to you.
That would be
off
great to pick
record.
up. But yeah, certainly from those individual businesses, I'm catching up with Hospitality New Zealand and the Chamber again tomorrow. We've got a meeting scheduled with Retail New Zealand. Obviously, as I said, we talked to all of our Pōneke Promise partners, and we had 40 businesses that attended those sessions as part of feeding into this.
Councillor Abdirahman.
I've got two questions. The first one is, I'm trying to understand the distinction between the urban design and your team. If you see now in Berhampur, they are doing, urban design is doing, and Island Bay the same thing. It seems you doing the same, but in Courtney Place. Is that right?
Yeah, so we're a facilitation team, if you like. More think of us as a project management team. So we don't replicate any work. So the cleaning, the cleaning part of this, our cleaning team does. The urban design part, our urban design team, etc., does. So we bring all of those teams into a project group and work with them internally to achieve this plan. So similar with the businesses externally as well.
So, okay, the second question is, you engaged with a lot of community members in different ways, one with businesses and accessibility advisor. It seems 20% of the community not consulted, at least in a well-structured way. Is that because it's not represented institutionally in the council, or why is that? I'm talking about ethnic communities.
So as it relates to the business community, we did, I guess. So this probably has a business lens to it because ultimately we want to see more investment from property owners, businesses themselves, etc., in order to achieve that vision and in order to rejuvenate it. So we did those ethnic communities and businesses within the area, as opposed to, for example, we didn't engage with, for example, residents in Island Bay, let's say, for example, on what their vision is. What we did was look at, this isn't a huge piece of work that has legislative engagement around it. So what we did is we looked at existing engagement from all of our existing strategies, etc., as it related to this area in terms of into the central city and what people wanted to see, and then we overlaid it with that direct engagement we did with residents and businesses that are actually part of the area. Does that answer your question?
Let me clear myself again. When you consulted with the rainbow community, the accessibility community, young women and children and young people, probably they are not the business owners. I think there are some people who are coming through different engagement, right? So when it comes to ethnic communities, not only talking to one of the kebab shop in the area, in a structured way, people who represent them. Currently, we don't have advisory group in the council. Who do you go to understand their perspective in the whole thing, other than the business that you're going to?
Yeah, so probably what we did is we didn't bring on any experts or consultants or anything like that to help us with this project. So this was only delivered internally. So that would be a layer that we would need to apply that we haven't yet done.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Councillor Free.
So just asking a little bit more about the 2.5 million. Is it imagined that this will be mainly to promote events or activations or infrastructure?
Not for infrastructure, that's OPEX. But it would be things like, so we've got, for example, a second Take 10 site, so you will know things like that. We're looking at nighttime safety ambassadors, something that the bars are really keen to partner with us on. Again, that could be a co-funded initiative. So it's more initiatives like that. So yes, there may be some events, but within that within that funding, it is really to try and do the urgent, immediate stuff first that businesses most and residents most want.
And when you talk about working across council budgets and CapEx, how does Let's Get Welly Moving fit into this?
Well, it fits into it in the idea that if the area is rejuvenated, it will improve the look and feel with the area. So it's part of the broader vision in terms of it will create more space for businesses to do outdoor dining. It will create that space if we want to do a Courtney East dining precinct. It certainly will make it look a lot smarter once it's finished because it will look a lot cleaner. In terms of operationally, it is not a direct part of this project.
Small comment, I think you're right on the money with the Chinese, Asian kind of, because that's what I picked up from the retailers up there. They're quite keen on that.
Cool. Thank you, everybody. That kind of takes us to the end of our time with no further people on the list for Pārtai. Huge thank you to Anna, Prak and Clara. Really appreciate it. Maybe just to cap off the end, what's going to happen next in terms of the program? Are there any public events you'd like councillors' engagement with? Or
Yeah, so the next thing is really when we've got another big, after socialising it with you all, is really to get the business community engaged. So we've got sessions with all the different business rep groups. We've got a business hui coming up in December, for example, speaking to the Property Council in January. So it really is to start pitching, if you like, to go out there and pitching, work out, do some prioritisation in terms of what business community wants to see first, what's going to be that action plan, get some early wins whilst doing that. Some of that more intensive work around investment attraction to get more of those big rocks and game changers.
Cool, yeah. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
The others around, I know this is finished, but why not go to the businesses first and